So, hello everybody. I just want to say a massive thank you again for being part of this project. And I just wondered if we could first of all just go round and just do some little introductions. So who you are. And one of the things that we found in this project is that the young people that we worked with at King David School have said to us that they've totally changed their perception of what Cheetham Hill is. They didn't know the area very well around the school that they go to. So I wondered if you might be able to just say kind of what Cheetham means to you, if that's okay. So shall we start with Poppy? Hello, Poppy.
Hello, I'm Poppy. I'm the community champion at Tesco in Cheetham Hill. I live in the area, but I also work in the area. So Cheetham, and I was born there as well. So Cheetham means a lot to me. I love the community. I love the area. I love the diversity of the place.
I think if anyone says Cheetham, it's Poppy from Tesco's somehow. Everybody knows you, Poppy. You're you sort of sum up Cheetham for me. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you. Hello, Aaron.
Hello.
What does Cheetham mean to you?
Cheetham is a beacon for me of multiculturalism. There is no place like it. I don't think in the whole country, never mind just Manchester. Well, there are places like it, but they're not quite as good, and don't do it as well. But also, you know, the history of Cheetham is one of a huge one of not just migration, but people escaping some of the most awful and horrible atrocities that you could imagine. And you look at, you know, as each generation has particular atrocities going on around the world, you find people from around that time who were in Cheetham. So for me, Cheetham, looking at that, it symbolizes hope, symbolizes a better life and a way forward, and a real look to the future, and what can be better and what you can achieve instead of what you may be just kind of what situation you are put into.
You always put things so well, Aaron. You just wrap everything up really nicely. I always want to I've got you recorded this time. I always want to write down what you say. Yeah, okay. Should we go to Marisha to follow that then? Hello, Marisha.
Hi. I'm Marisha. I'm the Health and Social Care Team Leader at the Welcome Centre in Cheetham Hill. Well, really, it's Aaron's actually said most of it, to be honest. I've only been in Cheetham Hill for about 3 or 4 years, but I did know it from my childhood because I used to come up to Cheetham Hill with my dad. Because my dad always used to have his clothes made in Cheetham Hill. We lived in South Manchester. And there were also lots of Polish people who lived in Cheetham Hill as well. So we used to come up there, and there was in fact an RAF veterans club in Cheetham Hill, a Polish one, and we used to come to that occasionally. I find Cheetham Hill fascinating. For all those things that Aaron said, it's diversity, but I always think of it as a refuge, that people find a new home in Cheetham Hill, that they have got away from terrible things and terrible times and terrible events, but that they find a welcome in Cheetham Hill. And I think that is the really important thing. The people in Cheetham Hill are so welcoming, and that I think is wonderful, and I love it.
I think you're a big part of that welcome though, Marisha. Even just working at the Welcome Centre, I think you're a massive part of that welcome. So
well, it's a great place. It's the people who come and work there who are, who make it. They're fantastic. And the volunteers, they're wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Sarah.
Good afternoon. I'm the vicar over at Trinity United Church on Cheetham Hill Road. but I've also got another little church in Crumpsall called St Thomas's. So that's my reason for being in Cheetham Hill. I also live just over the border in Higher Broughton, in the middle of the Haredi Jewish community, which makes for a really, really interesting mix of and diverse areas. Part of the joy being in the Church of England is we get lots of statistics and things like that thrown at us. And Cheetham in particular is one of the highest in Manchester, in fact in the whole of the country, for its diversity. Cheetham Hill Road, according to the 2011 census, was the most diverse road in the whole country. And I think especially when we're talking about Holocaust Memorial Day, Cheetham Hill is probably one of the few places where you could probably find somebody or people connected to every single one, not just the Holocaust, but from all the genocides since then that are remembered as well. And you could probably find all of that within a few square feet, really. And it's just an absolutely tremendously wonderful place. All I ever really knew about it before was Strange Ways and the knockoff shops.
Yes.
And I quickly was able to see beyond that and the beauty of it all. And I love noise and I love chaos, and so it fits me down to the ground.
Oh, we love your noise and your chaos as well. That's more of that, please. Brilliant. Okay, and last but not least, hello, Mary.
It's home to me. I've been here for 60 years. I was brought up in and around Manchester. I've worked at community mental health nurse. I've seen all sorts, good, bad, ugly. The rest, it's all fantastic. The people are the people. They are what they are. They do what they say on the can. This is it. Strange ways or not strange ways. We border onto Salford, we border onto Crestwood, we border onto South Manchester. We don't cross the line, but we're here, we are what we are. Fantastic place. My role now is sketching the place, so hopefully it'll go on record as it is, what it is, and how it is. That's it. It's been a pleasure to be part of the project and see, the next generation and how they recorded things like World Holocaust Day. Very difficult to record those memories and pass them on to the next generation. It's fantastic to be part of it. I'm great to be part of the rest of the group and the people that are coming in and up the hill, watch different generations, different nationalities coming through, and that's been fascinating as well. That's it.
So I think, thank you. I think one of the highlights of the whole project for me was the day just before Christmas, just between the second lockdown and the third lockdown, when there was a little gap and it was okay. We took this group of young women around Cheetham and we met with most of you. And I know that it was really impactful. Is that a word? Impactful on them. So today is Holocaust Memorial Day. The theme of the day this year is the light within the darkness, and lots of the young women had included some kind of element of light in the pieces that they gave to you. And they were also really inspired by the fact that on Jewish gravestones, it's customary to put stones on the graves to remember people rather than flowers, so that they don't disintegrate, they don't die, they stay there. So a lot of the pieces had featured stones that they had made. So if it's okay, I think we'll just go round one by one, and maybe we can just have a quick conversation about the art that you received and how you felt about receiving that, if that's okay. So if it's all right, should we start with Marisha? So Marisha, you had art from two of the young women. You had some stones from Poppy, who had been plotting journeys of people in our archives where they came from. They were escaping the Holocaust and they came to Cheetham with some details about their lives. She also took inspiration from our Poppy, from Tesco, Poppy's parents' story, the Greek story. So let's start with her piece. So how did you feel about receiving that, Marisha?
Well, I felt very privileged actually to receive it for the Welcome Centre. to be honest, you know, I was really moved when I saw it all. I think it was the fact, you know, that it was journeys, that everybody had made a journey, and they'd come to this country, to Cheetham Hill, and they'd found a new life here, and they had found a partner, and they started again. And it resonated with quite a few things that happened in my own family story, because my mother was in the Warsaw Uprising, and she ended up in Dora Nordhausen concentration camp.
Yeah.
And she then had her journey, because she then left Germany to go to Italy. And that's where she met my father, who'd also come from Poland. He'd been in a camp as well. And they then came to this country, actually meaning to go to Canada, but didn't get there. They stayed put in the UK. And the whole thing just resonated with, you know, my own family history, because in fact also my great grandfather was of Hungarian Jewish origin, came from Budapest, and left Hungary to go to Poland, and then decided, I don't know if it was he or my grandfather on my father's side, who decided to convert to Catholicism, because I think that they did find that there was prejudice and discrimination, which is why they thought that it was better to do that. So you know, there's a lot of my family history invested in this, and I just thought it was wonderful. I loved those stones. I loved the Leicester Road, and what's it, Beeler?
Baylor.
What Baylor wrote to me to say why Leicester Road, because it had such a connection with the area. And the stones, obviously, that Poppy had said in her conversation about them lasting longer than flowers on gravestones. And I really did like, she mentioned Marie Zweig, who left Vienna and came to England. And what was she wrote on there? I was treated like a human being, not just a Jew. And I thought that was so moving.
Yeah.
And I also loved Poppy's story as well, Poppy's parents. And what was lovely was that you had the name and you had the journey, and then on the back there was more detail about the journey, and that was lovely to read and to find out. And it's actually, I am a historian anyway, but it's inspired me to try and find out a little bit more possibly about all these people, and hopefully make a bit more of a display for a time at the Welcome Centre, so that people can see, you know, these people were real people, and they came here for a new life, and they started a new life.
We would love that, Marisha. Let's do that. Let's make that happen. Let's dig in the archives a bit more and do something.
Yeah.
That was really lovely. Thank you. Okay, shall we go? Let's go to Poppy. So Poppy has done a display for us in Tesco. So if you're out and about in Tesco's, you can go and see it. Yes. And Poppy had work by Hadassah and by Tamar. And Hadassah had made these little luggage tags out of clay. And they were inspired by different people from the archives, and they had little details, little symbols on them that said something about the lives of these people, so that they liked cooking or they enjoyed music. There's quite a lot of symbolism on them. I'm really jealous of them. I want one in my house. They're so dinky and exquisite and lovely. And Tamar had decided that she wanted to make her memorial about the person's name, just saying the person's name. And for her, the ones on her stones that she made are people who died in the Holocaust. And one of those stones is a family member that she didn't know very much about, and her mother had been finding out a little bit more. And she was Polish, and she left Poland and went to Leipzig in Germany, but they don't know very many more details about this person, but just her name really. So Poppy, how did you feel about receiving them yesterday?
I was overwhelmed, to be honest. I love the story behind it all, and you learn something new every day. I love the idea of putting stones on the graves rather than flowers, because flowers die. I think that's that's quite touching. So I love the idea of that. And it's funny how Marisha had just said how it brings back memories of things that happened in your own life. Because unfortunately, I had the experience of the Turkish invasion in Cyprus.
Oh, of course.
So we've lost family. Some of my mum's sisters became refugees. And it all brings it home to you of the horrible things that happen in life. I remember being a child. I was only a child in 1974. And I remember crying because I'm thinking of my dad having to go into the army, and I might lose my father. Thank God for health reasons he didn't go in the army. So it just sort of brings home to you the horrific effects that happen in the world, but also brings you hope and the light that you can get through it. So I'm getting a bit emotional.
Hadassah wanted to ask you, Poppy, if you were going to make a tag for your family, what symbols would you put on the tag?
I was thinking about that last night because I did see the videos that you sent me, and definitely in the tag I would put something that represents Greece. It would definitely be a little fishing boat because I love the sea. Yeah. The Greek flag because I'm proud of my heritage. And my father's name, definitely my father's. He was my hero.
He was so handsome. The photograph you sent me of him, he's got a trilby on.
Yeah,
he like Cary Grant or something.
A lot of people say that he was a very handsome man, and he was a kind man. So yeah,
maybe there should be some food on your tag as well. We talk a lot about your.
Oh yes, my father was a chef.
Yeah. Yes, he was a chef as well, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tamar wanted to ask, and I don't know whether you can answer this yet, but what the reaction of the customers has been. Did you notice anybody yesterday? Kind of.
I certainly did. While I was putting the display up, I've had because I felt honoured really because of having it in store, and a bit privileged to have it in store because I know I can touch a lot of people. A lot of people can see it, they can view it. And I did. The reaction actually of our Jewish customers seeing it was amazing. They were quite overwhelmed and they're quite touched to the fact that we actually all did something to remember the Holocaust. And the reaction was absolutely brilliant, and it was fantastic because people stopping and having a look and having a close look at the stones and the little luggage tags was really great. It was really good.
It's quite good about them being quite small, isn't it? People actually have to
look
closely at it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's been so brilliant. Thank you for putting up that display for us.
You're very welcome.
So we gave Aaron and Sarah 3 different pieces of art. So you've had a lot to. I don't know how much you've been able to kind of look at them and look at the videos and things. But you guys had you had a big clay head by Rivki, who.
You want to see them? So
this is Rivki's head. It's inspired by a lady in our archive called Hildy Davis.
Aaron, this is the button to push. Can you hear it?
Just about. So it's got this button that you press and it plays music.
And it absolutely took my breath away. It really did.
It's based on we've got lots of photographs of this particular woman. And the other pieces, so we gave you a piece by Rosie, which was also inspired by the same story of Hildy Davison, the same lady. And hers is a little tea light holder. It's like a little white figurine with a tea light to be lit. And she was hoping if the church was open that you would be able to light it in the church. But obviously at the moment, you're not able to get in there as such.
What I'm going to do is I've taken a photograph of it like this. I will take a photograph of it lit as well.
Oh, lovely.
On Sunday, when we have our service on Sunday, this will be lit. During the
service? Oh, yeah. Perfect, thank you. She'll be really happy about that.
Yeah. And I was inspired by the message that Rosie said as well, about how light is obviously key to so many different religions. And she mentioned Christmas to do with Christianity, because of course that's when you see all the fairy lights going up and things like that as well. But I thought it was really, really beautiful, not just because of the fact that it's light, but I think it's perfect for church, because Jesus, one of the things we do at Christmas is a Christingle with a candle on the top for Jesus is the light of the world. So it's going to be, and it's great to see that light, but also a good reminder that it's from the Abrahamic faith, which is beautiful, but also some of the persecution that has been done of obviously the Jewish people, but also others as well. And like others have said, the light is hope.
Yeah.
And that's so important for us to cling to when it feels like there's nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Aaron describe the last one too, but I'll hold it up.
So Aaron, this piece is by Eliana, and she really wanted to give this to you because we know that this story of this lady in our archives, Ilse Jacobs, is really close to your heart because we've done some work around it, haven't we? So do you want to tell us how you felt when you saw that? It's gorgeous, isn't it?
They were absolutely incredible. The story of Ilsa was one that, as we were writing songs last year and gearing up, when going through that process of listening to the stories, reading the transcripts and going through, there were particular phrases we'd pick out. And on every single story, obviously, there's things which we were looking at and kind of going, yeah, that'd go well, that works well in a song. But for some reason, there was almost like 80% of what Ilsa said was just powerful or heartbreaking or really uplifting or and everything like that. So the story of Ilsa, I don't know if it just helped to the fact that we were writing songs, so we were looking for those sort of those snappy pieces, snappy words. But every single thing she said seemed to carry just so much more meaning than just and obviously what she's talking about is something that, you know, I personally don't have any experience of in any way, shape or form. But, you know, I almost felt like, I mean, I will never, but I almost felt like I was going through it with Ilsa. I don't know if she ever went on to write a book, but she should have done. And, you know, there's the. Can you read out the quote that's on there, Mum?
Yeah.
Little things seem to matter very much.
And they are, and as that is a window with all the ballet dancers and people dancing, and that was from a quote from Ilsa when she would go away or go to certain places, and she thought she was going away, but she was actually there to do a lot of housework and make sure everybody else could enjoy themselves. and she used to, because she was so busy during the day doing housework, cooking, cleaning, and all those sort of things, she'd try and escape. She used to sit on a fire escape every night and watch these people dance through a window. And then that's where she says that the little things seem to matter so much. And it's things like just people enjoying themselves and being together that she just, and when she moved here, and I know I spoke about places like Cheetham Hill, obviously being a beacon of hope, as people come here to seek things that are better. But for so long, it felt for Ilse like things just didn't get better. She wasn't greeted with this life of, look, we all hear about it, and the reason people come to this country to feel safe is because they promised such a better life, and she didn't get that straight away. And things like that are just real reminders of just how little she felt like that.
Yeah, it took her a long time to kind of feel a sort of sense. Well, she says, doesn't she, Aaron, even later in life, she says, oh, I was just someone the wind blew in. Like, she never felt totally grounded here. How did you feel about Rivki's head, Aaron? Because I know that she really wanted to give it to you because you're a sound engineer, and she'd worked so hard to get the music in the head. What did you think?
At first I thought, please don't drop it, please don't drop it, please don't drop it. That was about 80% of my thought process. So I ended up having to lean it in the kitchen on the countertop and just have a look at it, and how incredible. The detail in it is fantastic. The button, it was incredible. The fact that she's been able to do that is amazing. And then
she kept the cracks in it. It's got cracks in it, but it's like a fragility and imperfection in it. I really like that the sort of, that life was so fragile. It's inspired by all these photographs we've got of Hildy on her last day in Berlin before she leaves forever, basically. And it's also photographs of her mother and her little nephew, and that you can see Nazi flags in the background, and they're just so heartrending. So I'm really glad that piece went to you. Thank you. That's
Can I just add, it took my breath away. I know I said it before, it took my breath away. And that was just seeing it. And I never thought that being able to see a clay face would affect me so much. And then last night I was on the computer and Mark just said, Aaron just said, oh, just turn the computer off a minute, Mum. And then the next thing I could hear these voices. And for me, as a Christian, it came across as a bit like monks chanting, but I knew it wasn't. And the hairs on my arms stood up. And then when I realised what it was a mixture of kind of, you see it on the film, so like everything from Schindler's List and things like that. So, and that's the kind of music that I suppose they would play in the background because it's typical Jewish music in a way. But it brings it to a different level as well. And there was that kind of that sadness as you think about all those Jewish people that would have gone through the ghettos and been torn out of their homes and the fear that they would have faced. But then it comes back to the hope again, because that person's story has been told and been in Manchester to tell that story. And we're fortunate enough to be in her footsteps and in their footsteps, walking the same streets that they walked. And so that's where the hope is, I think, really.
Thank you both. Thank you so much for taking 3 pieces as well, and for us chock-a-blocking your house out with art.
Well, will be used on Sunday. All 3 pieces. I will bring them into the service on Sunday so people can see them.
Amazing.
They'll go on display in church as well, and can be seen obviously when we're back open and things like that. So they will be seen not just on Holocaust Memorial Day, but for a long time to come.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so should we go to Mary lastly? So Mary had 2 pieces by Matilda and by Eden, and they both really wanted to give them to Mary because we'd met with Mary a few times, and she'd showed us her amazing streetscapes, Mary's paintings that are really long, like of Cheetham. So Matilda was really inspired by that and kind of created a similar, sort of folded up similar version. Mary, do you want to just tell us about it and how you felt about receiving it?
So Tilly sent me a little note, and I was really taken with this. And it's a little concertina book, and it's a story of Matilda and Edmund Goldman.
Ah.
And it's beautiful, it's tiny, and it brought tears to my eyes. And it's beautifully written with a lovely narrative and sketches, which is responded to in my artistic role with the narrative and the sketching. Very loose, it's not meant to be architectural. It is beautifully drawn, and it unfolds the story of different people. You won't be able to read it, but it's all got its own little story. Tiny, beautifully written. It's taken her a long time, even though it's small. And I put it next to my concertina sketchbook as well. And each house has got its own story with its own narrative, and it unfolds into a whole thing of people that have come to England and being rescued. So I've responded to that in a lovely way.
Yeah, you wrote a beautiful letter for us. It's the story of Matilda. So Matilda was inspired by another Matilda in our archives.
Right.
So the Matilda and Edmund met in a refugee hostel, Cassell Fox Hostel. So Mary, you said in your letter you'd sketched that building and hadn't realised that's what it was. Yeah.
It was called Cassell Fox Hostel. So I googled it, and I didn't know it's where she'd also done this lovely long pastel thing as well. So I sent them the photographs and responded to this. Our artwork shows silhouettes of the people, I presume, going into the camps. And then this is the nice bit of coming into the Cassell Fox Hostel after Matilda and dances. So she's done the silhouettes, so she's contrasted the whole thing on a nice panel.
Yeah.
Beautifully coloured. And that's like on a scroll. It came in a rolled up, so I took that out of the it came in a cylinder, and I scrolled that, and I responded to the concertina book sort of unfolds the story as well, which is lovely. So I think those are beautiful, the two things from Tilly. And then the other
from Eden, yeah.
The other installation came in a box, which I must show you the outside of the box, which is beautifully carved with. She took the inspiration from the outside of the Jewish Museum, and you probably can't see it, but it is in detail in the wood. And she stained the box the same colour as the outside of the Jewish Museum. So then I must unfold the box to you as well, which inside she's put a light attachment and a carving of a Jewish man, but just plain face. It's got a kippah on to represent the nation, and it's light inside a dark box, and it's got a pull switch on the outside, which again, like you, Aaron and Sarah, was frightened of breaking anything. The box is lined in black with charcoal. So I responded to it with my nurse and counselling head on, that opening the box and letting the memories out gradually was quite a nice idea, because there's lots of emotions there, and I felt the same as well. If just being able to do that gradually and think about it, shut the lid when you can't cope with anymore. And she made a lovely video to me as well about what it was about. Some of that was the symbolism about representing the community, the man in the box, being able to take it away and come to England and different communities and shining a light in a dark place. It was very sort of a poignant point about the whole thing. And just being able to keep that, keep it with you and take it with you. And then we talked about passing it on to the next generation. And I thought that her being able to show that to this generation and next generations, that they wouldn't always remember, but having something like that to pass on would be really good. So a lovely piece of artwork from both of them.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Contrast, really. Very
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Marisha.
Yeah, because just to add on to what the two sent to me, Poppy and Baylor sent, because they both had this idea of stones, which I don't know whether they worked together on this, but you know, I was just sort of thinking about it as, you know, everybody was describing what they got. I mean, yes, you put stones on Jewish graves, don't you? And that's always a symbol. And the fact that it's better than it lasts longer than flowers. But then I was thinking about the sort of all of that, the stones and the mound that she did with Leicester Road written on it. And, you know, you might sort of think of it, in a way, it was two things. It was almost like not a funeral pile, but a pile of stones to remember those who had died. But also it was, I mean, there's stones like you use foundation stones for a building, don't you? And it's that whole thing of building a new life in a new place. And that was echoed in the beauty. I'm sorry I didn't bring some of them home yesterday, because I'm at home at the moment, because they're beautifully done. The stones that were done, they and lovely little drawings on them. But each one of them, because Matilda and Edmund Goldman are also on the stones as well, Mary. So, and obviously, and Poppy's mum and dad, is it Dimitri and Eleni? Yes, they're there as well. So that all links us all in somehow or other with all of these things. But it is that the foundation stones for building a new life in a new country. And I thought that again, it's that idea of hope, isn't it? That you hope for a better life in a new place.
And you become part of the fabric of that place, like somebody said, walking the same street, streets are made of stone as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you again. That's I'm really moved just listening to you all.